Thank you. I'd like to begin with the question, actually. How many of you voted last Tuesday? How many of you have really thought about what it takes to, what it's taken in this country to get the right to vote? This is a little information I pulled from infoplease.com. If you look at it, years 2008, 2004, 2096, 92, every 4 years, there's about a 50 to 56% voter turnout rate from everybody 18 years old up to dead. That's pretty sad when you consider the population, exactly how many people have the right to vote in this country versus how many doesn't. And if you look at the off years, the 2006, 2002, 98 on down, we're looking at a maximum of 39%, as low as 37% in 2002. Americans just don't seem to vote when we're not properly motivated by a presidential election. This isn't even counting. This isn't even counting local, citywide elections that aren't national. This would be indicative of probably James's favorite holiday. 1776, a bunch of farmers decided they're going to tell the King of England that they had the world's newest democracy. This democracy, the only people allowed to vote were well-educated, or I shouldn't say well-educated, but educated white men. And that was it. I want you guys to think about two things specifically. What it took to get the right to vote in this country, and I want to persuade you to all, please vote. People lost a lot of lives, made a lot of sacrifices to give us the right to do something that, depending on the year, between 50 and 70% of our population just ignores completely. So yeah, the right to vote only for white men. Sorry, he's English. That's better. 18 August 1920, women's suffrage movement actually succeeds giving women the right to vote. Most of them actually think this is a good thing. Believe it or not, I'm actually in a women's history class right now, and that wasn't actually the perspective of all women. 23 January 1964, your right remains even if you don't pay your taxes. It's the 24th Amendment. The rich didn't really care about that one. They're used to not paying their taxes and needing to vote anyway. I'm going to backtrack to 1870 now. I did this for a reason. 15th Amendment. February 3rd, 1870, the right to vote cannot be denied regardless of the color of your skin. It's a pretty big deal. It happened in 1870. For almost 200 years of being a country, the United States finally recognizes the fact this applies to Black, Latino, Asian, Native Americans. Anybody else I may not have mentioned. Election Day, November 4th, 2014. This is a bit in the future, and I want you guys to keep that in the back of your heads. I will be getting back to this date a little later. The past decade, we've actually had a lot going on. It's been a very tumultuous decade. In the stock market, you know, unmistakable footage of the World Trade Center 2, Tower 2, about to be hit by that airplane, which will eventually bring them down. We're in our second recession just in the past decade. Terrorism is a very real thing. Regardless of whether your conspiracies may be, terrorism is very real, regardless of who's in charge, who's making it actually happen. I'm not going to start getting into any of that. But these are things back in, top of our heads, What is this going to make us live like? What is this going to turn everyday American life into? Are we going to need to sitting there with a bunch of gas masks on. But I'll tell you right now, there are a bunch of people at ground zero who could have really used one that day. Didn't have one, and a lot of these people have cancer. What do I do? What are the real dangers to be concerned with? So I'm about to illustrate things are actually a lot worse than you think. It's a bit overwhelming, actually. The oncoming zombie apocalypse is a very real thing. I'm sorry, it just is. It's not like the movies. You don't get bitten and suddenly start clawing at people. It actually takes a very long time. And here's my proof of it. A little bit more. It gets really scary. I challenge all of you to go online and look up Tea Party footage. You want to get real scared? I did a lot of research on this. It actually gets very, very frightening. How do you identify a zombie? What are the symptoms? Well, they have a tendency to not make any sense. They cannot be reasoned with. They have an unwavering disregard for facts and an undying need to convert you to their ways. Those are the 4 main points. This isn't obvious, though. Zombies can even be attractive. Sarah Palin is not a bad-looking woman, I have to say. Now, given 4 years, getting the picture, people voted for her. Okay? And the one thing that all the zombies have in common, they want you. This is Glenn Beck, in case you're not familiar. I was looking for a picture of what he's going to look like in the next 4 years, and I was already drinking too much and I couldn't take it anymore, so I decided not to. Zombies are motivated. They vote. So we needed heroes, leaders who would guide us through these times. Okay? Obviously, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, they've kind of retired. They don't do this anymore. You have to find somebody else. Besides that, they're not real. We need somebody to identify with a little bit more, somebody a little more real. Okay? I'd like to announce my candidacy for governor of California in the year 2014. I'll be getting to that actually in a little bit. Qualifications? Well, as I've demonstrated in other speeches, I have 17 years of martial arts experience. Now, why would that be important? We're going to need to defend ourselves against zombies, okay? And the result of this, I was actually in a little bit of trouble recently, actually got attacked by a zombie. That is my sailboat. That is the zombie hanging from my mast. It's kind of a warning to everybody. You go to Pier 39, you can look, you can see it. It's not hard to find. It's the only sailboat with a zombie hanging from the mast. It's my plan. This is a prototype. We may actually need these. They might be a little bigger, some a little faster than others, but we're going to need to get through the hordes of zombies that are going to try to eat our faces off. You need a lot of guns. Here's your boomstick. Okay? Hand-to-hand fighting is great, but when you're looking at something that all it needs to do is bite you to turn you into Sarah Palin in 4 years, you're going to need to take these things out at a distance if you can. If not, swords, axes, these are things you can buy at Kmart right now. Unfortunately, most of them are replicas, and they all snap the first time you need. This is where things get a little more interesting. This is where I become more valuable to you. You see all those? That's probably $30 million worth of bombs. Okay? The United States has tons of these things. Okay, that's an F-14 Tomcat. those are useless in a zombie apocalypse. Zombies don't fly MiGs into your city, okay? So we're going to need to make weapons. Manufacturing jobs. We don't need to outsource this to China, we can do this right here. This goes even further. Our need to protect ourselves, go even as far as fashion. That is actually a chainmail dress. These things are already being worked on by people who actually share my vision. Chainmail doesn't look too bad, and I don't care how hard you try to bite her arm, you're not getting through. My wisdom force that I can lead this state and keep our families safe from the zombie apocalypse. As governor, I keep Californians employed, our children educated. First and foremost, I just urge all of you, please go out and vote. For me.
I'm putting that on YouTube.
I'd like to open the floor up for questions at this point.
I'm sorry, I'm putting that on YouTube.